Welcome to Mid-Ohio, home of Round 2 in the EnduroPro series, and you're watching it live on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm your host, Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is the C1 class aficionado, who's also covering C2, Kevin Brown. Welcome back, Kevin.
Thanks, Joe. Glad to be here and looking to be a little busy today.
Absolutely. Also with us, covering Dusty Peterson and the C3 class, is Brian Corwin. Dusty, unfortunately, is under the weather today. Welcome, Brian.
I think Dusty gave me whatever he has, but I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to a great race, Joe.
Me too. We're glad you're here as well. Well, as mentioned, we are at Mid-Ohio today, which is a bit of a home track for me, so I'm especially proud to be here. Brian, tell us a little bit about this course, because it's got a lot of history behind it.
Yeah, it's home to American Le Mans and Grand Am in the past, IndyCar races here, so it's a well-known track around the world with a lot of the drivers here on the iRacing service too. The track is 2.25 miles long. It has 13 corners with a plethora of elevation changes, blind crests, and all sorts of different tricky technical spots that make it very difficult to overtake. And also, today we'll be racing for 90 minutes, so we'll be looking for some pit strategy and some other different planning to go around as well.
And I'm sure that pit strategy is going to be a very key point with how difficult it is to get around cars and how tough traffic is going to be around here. But we are one round down. We are into round 2 as we step up to the plate here at Mid-Ohio, which means we have points to talk about. The championship, as it stands, has Troy Schultz at the top in the C1 class with 30 points. Anthony Kopech is in second, 5 points back. And then Iker Estefania back in third place at 21 points, 9 points behind. Then Dennis Gary is in fourth with 16 points, 14 points back. And Zhao Vaz, despite his speed, is down in fifth with only 15 points. What's C2 looking like, Kevin?
Well, based on his last lap position change for the win last round, Stefan Overgaard is the C2 leader. Manuel Sanchez is 5 points behind him in second. In third place is Francisco Esteve Albert. In fourth place would be Andre Martin, who's 12 points behind. And fifth is Joao Oliveira, who is 15 points behind.
And then finally we have the C3 class, which has seen its fair share of excitement, Brian.
Yes, certainly it has. João Cadorzo leads with 30 points, followed by a margin of 5 points is Patrick Pitchler in second place. Now in third we got Tom Valentini with 21 points, 9 points behind the leader. Paulo Martins, is in fourth. He's trailing 12 points back. And then Andreas Almensberger has 15 points, and he is 15 points back.
And we also have another championship that is taking place throughout this season. That is the Gentleman's Award. And for those not familiar with iRacing, drivers have what are called incident points. They get them for going off track, for spinning, having car contact, or touching the wall. And that kind of keeps them honest. Normally in official racing, they have a safety rating that is tied to that. And here they don't have that. So to keep the drivers honest, we have the Gentleman's Award for them to fight for. And the way that works is they have 20 points at the start. For every instant point that they rack up, they have points taken off of those 20 points for that race. So after one round, Patrick Pitchler has 19 points, only one incident over 2 hours last race. That is impressive. Nilton Carvalho is only a single point behind with 18 points. Troy Schultz has 16 points in third. Anthony Kopech is doing pretty well himself with 15 points, and Derek Waller is tied with him with 15 as well. Well, guys, we have some stories to plenty of stories to talk about with this. Mostly, Kevin, Troy absolutely destroying them in the first race.
Yeah, Troy Schultz was on fire at Daytona. He took control of the HPD field early on, never looked to relinquish it, had huge margins of over second place in the rest of the field for the entire race, and really showed his strength. But now he's not here today, so this is really going to open up the field. We're going to see who's actually able to maybe bring the pace a little bit. And let's see, in the Corvette field, we're going to have to work a little bit because, as I said, we didn't cover it too much last round. Stefan Overgaard, our winner last round, he's looking second on the pole position, or excuse me, second on the grid so far. So the Corvettes are going to have an interesting race because they're going to have to be dealing with a lot of horsepower and torque as they make through the twisty sections and try and keep that car on track. But what about the McLaren, Brian?
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the way the qualifying went. The cars are very close together as far as time go. I believe between Cardoso and Valentini, we got something like 0.2 of a second between the two drivers. So that really speaks to the quality and skill of the drivers here in this series. As far as the track goes, it's very hard to pass here. There's very narrow, tricky sections, and as I said before, there's a lot of blind kind of crests that just pop up here and there around the track. So passing here is very difficult. And then you go ahead and add 2 other classes with varying speed differential to the mix. It just makes it for some very intense racing. For those that aren't familiar with multi-class racing, the HPD is the fastest class with the most downforce. So they pretty much fly through these corners and don't see any accidents coming till the last second. And like I said, it goes to show the quality and the skill of the drivers here in this series. Kevin?
Yeah, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, Brian, where the HPDs are going to have just tremendous cornering advantage through the twisty infield section, but they just don't have the ability to outrun everybody else on the straightaway except for the McLarens. So the HPD guys are going to have a difficult time trying to get through traffic cleanly and, you know, make sure that they don't get broken up too much. And we may see a little bit of, let's just say, impulsive maneuvering from HPDs that's probably bound to tick off a couple of GT guys at some point in the race. So that could be very much be a story if we see a McLaren get punted off the track somewhere. But in the meantime, it sounds like we do have a lap of what it's like to run around Mid-Ohio in the Corvette. So if Giancarlo can get that going, we'll show that to you.
All right, let's do a lap around Mid-Ohio with Stefan Overgaard behind the wheel of the GSRC Corvette. Coming across the start-finish line down towards turn 1. Very fast left-hander. You got to watch out for this inside curve that separates the pit lane. And then also be careful not to dip the wheel in the grass on the exit there, or else it's a very short trip to the barriers on your left. Coming up to the keyhole, heavy braking, possible passing opportunity. There's a bit of a crest over this 180-degree turn, but really focus on your exit here. Got to get onto the power because you got a long backstretch down to China Beach, which is going to be one of your best passing opportunities. Take it through the kink flat out, and then up to China Beach here. Heavy braking, and there's going to be some camber here, so you really got to carry your speed through, and then get all the way to the right and bring it over this very blind crest. Down back through the valley, you're into madness now. A series of lefts and rights, back and forth. You got to be very patient through here in the Corvette. Tricky braking zone here for the right-hander that leads you into Thunder Valley. Yet another crest there. A lot of those blind crests throughout this course. Stay to the right up through this kink, and then just thread the needle in this very fast left-hander that leads you to the carousel. One more crest yet again. Very patient trying around this long corner. Get the car rotated. Watch out for that curb on the left. And that's a lap around Mid-Ohio. And we have to thank Stefan Overgaard for running that lap for us. He is obviously a very skilled driver with a win under his belt already. Just real quick note, if you want to get a hold of the team or the EnduroPro Series, talk to us during the race on Twitter at EnduroPro Series or on the same name at Facebook /EnduroPro Series. Send us comments, and also you can get a hold of us directly, the GSRC team, at GSR Channel. We'll try to answer any questions that you send to us through that one and keep us busy during the race. Also, let's see, plenty of stuff to talk about in this as we let qualifying finish. You see the cars continuing on around the track right now. This Corvette around here, Kevin, is it's a bit of a handful with all those crests. It's got so much power that it really, you have to be so patient through some portions.
Yeah, you have to be patient, and you know, it feels like a big car, kind of drives like a big car, you know, like your parents' big, huge SUV sometimes, although with a lot more power. And so sometimes that infield feels a little narrow in the Corvette, and if you got some other cars around you, you know, things might get a little exciting if you're trying to figure out how to get around a slower McLaren or deal with a faster HPD trying to dive bomb you into one of these twisty bits for sure.
Yeah, and then the McLaren's has its own set of challenges, Brian, because with the new tire model, it really doesn't like those curves that much, and there's certainly some big ones that jut up around here.
Yeah, Joe, that's what I've been reading in the forums. I haven't really had too much experience here at this track on the car. However, I have driven the McLaren in the past, and with the way they've change the differentials and the suspension modeling and the tire modeling, it's very slippery and easy to lose control of the car, especially over some of these bigger bumps. My biggest worry point for this race is the crest, where you're coming around the corner up the big hill there. That's a very tricky spot as it is, so I'll be looking for some drama there, Joe.
And the other drama as well that we need to watch out for as we see the cars have left the track, if you're wondering what that's about, they are currently in a driver's meeting being explained the rules. And that actually touches on what I was about to get to, which is the fact that they have live stewards. We saw this last race, we saw it in the qualifying race, and we'll see it again here. And I think it'll be especially important, Kevin, that the drivers have to be careful because they will be handing out black flags for interclass contact. So everyone's going to have their heads on a swivel, I think.
Yeah, we saw, in the previous two races, or excuse me, the previous race and the warm-up qualifier, that the stewards take a very dim view of interclass contact. So drivers definitely have to stay clean if they don't want to spend a little bit extra time in pit lane. So they have to stay clean. But with this busy infield, where there's potential to be lots and lots of traffic, it could be very easy to accidentally get into somebody else from a different class. So drivers are definitely going to have to pay lots of attention going on. And we're hearing word from the Corvette guys that they're matched by the McLarens in pace through quite a bit of the corners in this track. So it's going to be difficult for everybody out there, and traffic management is definitely going to be a key today.
Yeah, I'm looking at the qualifying, and in fact, I'm wondering if our director would like us to go through that in a second since everyone's run their laps. But it's looking like they're very, very close on time. I'm seeing maybe a second between the top of the Corvettes and the top of the McLarens. So I believe we are going to get ready to go through qualifying here since everybody's run their laps and they're in the middle of the drivers' meeting. So let's start with the C1 class with João Vaz taking the top time because Troy Schultz is actually not here today. So he might have a chance to run away and get himself a win. Beside him on the front row is Anthony Kopech. And third is Iker Estefania. Anton Volodin is in fourth. Dennis Gary is in fifth. Lars Conrad is in sixth. Mark Mucky is in seventh, and then rounding out the HPD field in eighth is Ramon Zayas. What's C2 look like, Kevin?
On the pole for the C2 field is Ruben Velasco. Outside of him will be Stefan Overgaard. Second row will be Andre Martin and Joao Oliveira. Then followed by Kevin O'Keefe and Jaden Conwright. Manuel Sanchez, Braden Eves, Francesco Esteve Albert, Tim Abbott, Carlos Garcia Fos, and rounding out the Corvette field is Yuri Mojak.
Then in C3 class, it looks like João Cardozo is leading the way, Brian.
Yeah, we got João Cardozo is on the pole. Next to him will be Tom Valentini. Omar Zanchi takes up the next row, and he'll be paired up with Patrick Pickler. Behind them is Mert Uzel and Paulo Martins. The next row would be Andres Almensberger and Bjorn Eric Fladmark. Nilden Carvalho and Jarrett Lawson are behind them, followed by Mark Sargent, Derek Waller, Riley Wyans, Cedric Finzak, Mark Hewitt, and Jay Vander Geest.
So with 36 cars, it's going to be a fairly full track with a little over 2 miles around here. So guys are going to have to be very busy, which we mentioned before. Since we did talk about Troy not being able to attend today, that is something unique to sim racing, Brian. These guys have 2 drop weeks, and tell us a little bit about that. With this being not real life racing, what exactly is going on with guys not showing up?
Well, there's a couple of factors that come into play. Unlike real life, where you have a contract and you're expected to be at every race doing the best you can, here we can have 2 drop weeks. You still get to average out your best points. And then the rest, the 2 races that you missed don't get counted at all. I think there's a couple things that come into play. People have personal lives that can't always make every race. But maybe there's another side of it where Troy might not feel safe or comfortable at this track. Maybe he didn't get enough practice or he had other things going on this weekend. So he's going to opt out and use one of his drop weeks so he could maybe save his points in his bid for the first place and then be able to come back on a more stronger seated track later on.
Yes, and speaking of this being not actual racing and sim racing being its own unique sort of sport, Kevin, one of the things that we talk about a lot is the drivers don't have that seat of the pants feel. And explain to our viewers what we mean when we talk about that.
Well, I think you're talking about the feelings you get in your butt when you're driving a car, those G forces that you experience, the inner ear sensations of you're getting tossed around and the G forces that you're dealing with. You just don't get that in sim racing. So you have to learn how to drive using just your eyeballs and what you hear, and as well as the feedback you get in the steering wheel via your hands. So it's a little bit different than what you normally would run in a real life, and you kind of have to get used to that.
Well, I believe they are still going through a number of things in the meeting, so we are going to go to break just real briefly, and we'll come back with the green flag. Going to come back to air very soon now, so we're going to take a very short break, and we'll see you when the race starts. Welcome back. We are getting ready to take the green flag very soon. They're going to line up on the grid any second now. One of the things that we didn't touch on, that I think is a very noteworthy story from last race, guys, is the finish in the Corvettes. I know that we mentioned Stefan had the surprise win, but the other flip side of that is Andre Martin having an absolute disappointment after having that thing wrapped up, Kevin.
Yeah, and he was crushed too. He was so upset with himself that he wasn't able to sneak away with the win, and that was a little bit heartbreaking because that was absolutely last lap chaos and heartbreak for him. But yeah, it looks like Corvettes are on the grid now, and some HPDs as well, Joe.
Yep, the pace car should lead them away pretty soon, although, interestingly, I don't see the pace car out in front of them. It seems to be in the pit lane, so we might have a standing start here.
Yeah, we might. This is a rolling start series, so I think the standing start is going to be interesting. The HPDs don't do very well from a standing start, so they're going to have issues getting out of the way of the Corvettes, who will definitely do pretty well. There's some panic going on in chat amongst the drivers about whether or not to do their own pace lap, so I guess we're going to have to find out here.
Yeah, we're going to find out very soon, and it looks like they're trying to agree on doing just a pace lap here. So hopefully everyone will get the memo and be able to follow instructions. Otherwise, we might have a little bit of an interesting time. Yes, race control is letting them know they need to do a pace lap, so Jalvaz is hopefully going to be able to lead them around as we wait for them to get started on that. As we mentioned before with Andre Martins, actually, sounds like we have about 5 seconds. So let's hold on and let's make sure that everything goes correct here as the lights come up. When the green goes out, if everyone follows instructions, they should do a pace lap instead of actually taking off. Green flag is waved. However, everyone takes off nice and slow, so it looks like everybody's got the memo. So we'll do a bit of an unofficial pace lap as we go around here with Jalvaz leading them off. Good to see everybody being heads up. But as I was saying, with Andre Martins, what we didn't mention was actually what happened to him. He was leading most of the race towards the end of the 2 hours of Daytona, and then with a single lap left to go, coming out of the bus stop, he lost control and some lap traffic just had nowhere to go and ran into him, and his car was pretty much done for. He had to limp it around for one more lap and finished fairly well down. But Jalvaz is now leading them around. I'm glad to see, Brian, that everybody seems to have behaved and got the memo at the last second here.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the nicer things about league racing is you got a lot of great drivers with a good set of heads on their shoulders. There's not a lot of stupid, selfish moves going here. Everyone wants to have the best race possible, and obviously this just speaks to that perfectly. I was just thinking, Joe, about what we were talking about earlier with the Corvette and the McLaren being so close in pace. Being a Ford GT driver myself, I can tell you how stressful it is when you have another class trying to pass you with HPDs coming up behind you pretty quick. So I hopefully this is a clean race. I don't want to see that many incidents, but I think it might be inevitable at some point in this race that we're going to have a big one. And in which case, I hope everyone has the best race possible. We'll go back to you, Joe.
Yeah, I hope so too. And this is a very tricky track, let alone to do by yourself, not just with traffic around you of different speeds and varying abilities. So it's tough enough by itself. I mean, they're coming up down to the back end of the back straight here to China Beach. That corner has seen its fair share of drivers bite the dust, quite literally, and bin it into the sand trap, because you're coming down at a high speed, and it's a deceivingly fast corner with its banking. You really got to carry your momentum into there. So you might see a lot of guys be caught out either because they can't spot their braking point, or they just got over ambitious into a pass. And then, that leads into this next portion, into madness, just an up and down and left and right. Your car is going all different kinds of directions through here. So it's very much an S's portion, but with an extra bit of difficulty with the other classes and the elevation changes. And then you come into Thunder Valley here as we see the HPDs enter with that very, very difficult braking zone, very curved braking zone. And there's not a lot of runoff. The walls are extremely close, and you're coming in with a decent bit of speed there, especially in the HPDs with all that downforce. And then the infamous Thunder Valley, which really has its own bit of elevation change coming up to the end of it. That little left-hander, Kevin, is really tough to thread the needle through.
Yeah, that left-hander, though, is also a lot of fun because it is a fast blind corner over that crest, and if you get it right, you really know it. But it's definitely a place where you can run out of track real quick and find yourself on the grass or in the wall right here on the approach to the carousel, which is an important corner on the track, Joe.
Yes, and we're getting ready to take the start right now because this carousel leads to the last of it. They are not going to go before the start-finish line. They are going to go right at the start-finish line. That is the rules in the EnduroPro Series as João Vaz takes them up to the line, waiting for that green flag, and there he's got it. He takes off. Anthony Kopech got a terrible start. Iker Estefania slots himself up into second. It looks like, I'm sorry, Anthony was under threat from Anton Volodin momentarily. Let's go back to C2 and what's going on back there, Kevin.
Velasco gets a great start. Overgaard got caught out a little bit. Andre Martin in second. There's a little bit of side-by-side action in one. I'm not quite sure who that is. It's Kevin O'Keefe on the inside, but they are through clean. And somebody into the cones off the track on turn 2, but rejoins safely, Joe.
And now João Cardozo is taking them away to the line, Brian.
Yep, they're crossing the line right now and they're taking off. It looks like Jared Cardozo got a very good run here. He's going to be able to take a defensive line around turn 1 up into turn 2 on that nice hill. Following behind, we got Tom Valentini and Omar Zanchi. They get pretty close, but they make it through nice and safe. It looks like Tom Valentini was able to get a little bit of an advantage there. Behind them, we got the pack bunching up, but everything's going clean through the first couple of turns here, Joe.
Everybody's sorting themselves out, but it looks like everybody's very clean besides one car going off in the C2 class. So let's hop back up to C1. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Joe, that was our C2 pole leader, Ruben Velasco, got loose in turn 1, went off into the grass, rejoined, and then nearly caused an incident into the keyhole as guys were side by side through there. And fortunately, everyone was clean. This is a 90-minute race, lots of time to make moves still.
So Velasco has ground to make up, and it looks like Stefan Overgaard is going to inherit the lead once again. He seems to have a knack for being at the right place at the right time as he comes around in C2 to lead his first lap of this race. With still quite a few minutes left to go. We have an hour and 25 minutes left in this race since we have just started. So he's got a long ways to hold on to that lead, but he's doing well right now with a fair gap back to Andre Martins. But let's hop back up to C1 class because João Vaz, despite leading the race and getting the pole, is under threat from Iker Estefania, who is keeping him honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, it's a tough little section through here. You got to rely on the aero and the mechanical grip of the car here in the HPD and really make sure that the car is pointed in the right direction. And but Iker was not quite in the same pace with João Vaz through practice and qualifying. João definitely had the speed. So I think Iker just needs to try and stay in touch and hope that when they start catching up with lap traffic, he can make something happen.
Now, is that going to be his best opportunity to try and hope for some sort of pick? Or with the S's hurting your downforce, is he going to have any opportunity at all to try and make a pass without traffic helping him?
I think that what we'll see is a lot of ambitious overtaking attempts from the HPDs and the twisty bits. They don't have the top-end ability to get past the Corvettes on the straights, and even the McLarens are going to be tough for them to deal with as well on the one straight. So their best chances will be in the twisty bits and using that aerodynamic advantage that they have. But doing so is going to mean late maneuvers and probably surprising lapped cars. So everybody's going to have to be on their A game to make sure there's not a big wreck.
Yeah, and we see Iker continuing to try and hunt down João. It's still very early days in this race, so he doesn't have to do it right now. With this being an endurance race, Brian, these guys, they need to employ more than just bonsai moves. They have to kind of wait for the right time.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Joe. Right now in the McLaren class, there's a pretty good spread between in the front of the pack and the back of the pack. Right here in the back by Omar Zanchi, we see about 5 or 6 cars freight train through turn 2 here, but as far as the front 3 go, João Cardozo got some pretty good lead over Tom Valentini, and again, Tom has a pretty decent gap between him and Omar Zanchi. So right now, I think everyone's just kind of playing it safe. I'm getting word right now that Yuri Mojak might have been black flagged for having the wrong number. Sorry, I'm reading an older note, Joe. But anyways, the battles here are looking good. It's good to see some clean racing here in the early part of this track.
Yes, it looks like Jaden Conwright and Jiri Mojak both got black flags for starting with the wrong numbers. They were warned before the race. The stewards had told everybody ahead of time that they had to have the right number. They were not going to be lenient like they were at Daytona with it being the first round. I'm looking at the end of the C3 class, Brian. Derek Waller, he has already got João Vaz not that far behind. In fact, you can see him just about in the same screen. So João Vaz is already going to have to deal with some stuff here.
Yeah, and I really am looking forward to this kind of interaction. This is my favorite part about multi-class racing, is when the fastest class meets the slowest class, and that first couple of passes is always a little bit nervous because this early part of the race, the tires usually aren't all the way heated up yet, and drivers are still trying to get in their rhythm, so that's when most of the mistakes are likely to happen, let alone between these two classes, which both seem to have issues with grip on the cresty part of the tracks.
We are on board with Vaz right now. I want to stay with this as you see him weaving through McLarens, coming up to the keyhole here, just gets by that McLaren, that lapped McLaren. Iker Estefania continuing to try to hunt him down behind him. But Vaz, Kevin, we've talked about this before. He is not as experienced in this multi-class setting. He seems to be doing a little bit better currently, kind of picking his moments to try and get through here. But he's kind of a bit notorious already for having a little bit of trouble trying to weave his way through the slower classes.
Yeah, and João Vaz, he admitted as much that that's, definitely one of his weak points, that he doesn't have a lot of experience with that. But, I think he's probably going to be able to get better at that. He's a good driver and definitely capable of driving the car very quickly. So he just needs to kind of learn just how to interact with the traffic. And, this is a good series to do that because you need to be patient. And we kind of see what happens with traffic as Iker Estefania gained. And Iker gets into the back of João Vaz out of Thunder Valley, and that's damaged the front of Iker's car right there, I'm pretty sure, Joe.
Oof, and that's going to hurt him with all the downforce he needs, and I think there might have been a bit of contact with Riley Wyans as well. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to confirm that. That Riley was in the McLaren as more of those HPDs stream on by. João Vaz is starting to lose a little bit of touch with Iker Estefania as Iker drops back. I can't quite see how much damage he has on that front. Can you see, Kevin?
Well, on my screen, I'm showing his entire nose cone piece is gone. So if that's the case, he's definitely going to be hurting for grip, and he's going to have to pit and repair that.
And he's got Anthony Kopech behind him already trying to threaten as they go through more of this lap traffic in the C3 class. They come down to China Beach. There's a very good passing opportunity. Iker decides to stay defensive despite his missing nose, and just holds on to it. It looks like they're coming into madness now, and Iker is able to pull away as Kopech is under threat from Volodin as well. So they're all getting backed up as they're trying to weave their way through the back portion of this course. Let's watch and see if Estefania dips into the pits this time by.
Well, this is one of the vagaries of sim racing, because now we definitely see that Iker Estefania has a nose cone back. So unfortunately, we're getting some bizarre information from iRacing that we can't really deal too much with. But Joe, you kind of said it. Traffic right here has brought the top 4 HPD drivers back together in a pack, and they're just looking to get a pick on another car and make a move on each other.
For those wondering why in the world he lost his nose cone and magically got it back, as João Vaz gets held up by a McLaren. That allows Iker to get right up back on him. They're coming up towards the keyhole, another good passing point. Iker moves up the inside, outbreaks him, and takes over the lead. Iker Estefania already working his way up as João Vaz actually gets a bobble coming through that corner and loses a ton of time. Very opportunistic move.
And Joe, that allowed Anton Volodin to get a run on Anthony Kopech, and Volodin's right by on the back straight.
And going back to what I was saying earlier, why that nose cone disappeared and magically came back, iRacing is basically based on its own server, and we're getting information from that. It's feeding its way through. So for some of us, we might get a little bit varying information. So that's why some of us saw that it was missing. Some of us might have not. I know on my screen it was off until you guys said it, or that it was actually on until you guys said that it was gone on the screen. So if we give information that doesn't quite match up with what you're seeing, we apologize. That's what's going on there, but we are doing our best to give you the most accurate information as this race continues on, and Iker Estefania leads the way in the HPD class and continues to work his way through traffic. Boy, guys, this is already a mess as they're trying to get through these guys.
Exactly, Joe, and one of the most heated debates in all of multi-class racing is where do you put the car on the track. A lot of people argue that it's best for the slowest class to kind of get out of the way and let the faster guys through. But in real life and outside of the sim racing realm, it's actually in fact quite opposite. You want the slower class cars to hold their line, and it's the responsibility of the faster class cars to get around them safely. And as you can see here at the track at Mid-Ohio, it's very difficult to do that. It's a very narrow track. The grip levels are very low due to all the banking and ups and downs. Right now, here's a good example of it, actually. We got Yuri Mojak kind of a little off pace today. He has an HBD right behind him, followed by a couple of McLaren drivers. We'll see how he places his car to avoid any kind of contact here. Notice how close they're getting too, Joe.
Yeah, and you have to be careful about that, because not only can it mess up your momentum in these cars, but it takes away your visibility. And if you're missing braking points, you can't see where they are. It's so much more difficult. Oh, as that HPD, that's Grease, that just almost made contact coming up into the penultimate corner there, now into the carousel. So yeah, you have to, you're playing with fire. If you get very close to someone, you kind of have to keep your distance and look at the body language of the car in front to figure out if they're going to let you by, and watch their patterns before you just dive right in.
Yeah, and when we're talking about traffic here, Joe, a lot of people have this misconception that if you let another car by, you're going to gain time. And in fact, this is not the case. Everyone loses time in that kind of situation where you're letting cars by and making unusual movements, because the HBD has to slow down to make sure you're going to be safe and not get hit. You got the McLaren losing time because he has to alter his line, and it goes back and trickles down and trickles down and trickles down. So I think to success in multi-class racing, especially in sim racing, is everyone has to work together and show respect on the track if they want favors later on when it really matters.
Well, I want to see if we can get a replay on Anton Volodin, because going into the keyhole, I noticed that he was off track, and it looks like, yeah, let's go back to the replay now. Yeah, he just, once again, his braking points, he lost them in all the chaos that was going off in front of him, and just squirreled off the track. So thankfully he came on without incident, just kind of ran it through the sand trap, and he is continuing on currently. But he is sitting in third place right now. Oh, I'm sorry, fourth place, actually. He lost a position along the way there. So not doing too bad out of 8 cars. He's about halfway down the field, has to try and work to withhold those mistakes. Let's hop back to C2 class, because we haven't touched on them in a while. I see that Stefan Overgaard continues to lead. Andre Martins, we've got a bit of a rivalry going here, because Andre is holding on to second, possibly looking for that win to come back to him, trying to make up for that mistake from last time. He's got a bit of a distance to go, though, Kevin.
Yeah, he does have a little bit. It's about 2.5 seconds right now on track. It's been hovering about between 2.5 seconds and 3 seconds for the last several laps. So it looks like Overgaard and Martins are pretty well matched in pace, at least in the early stint, part of the stint. And so I think Andre definitely needs some lap traffic to go his way and not in the favor of Stefan to be able to catch that gap, because I'm just not sure it's not going to happen without some sort of outside influence to slow up Stefan Overgaard a little bit.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need that bit of luck that comes in with multi-class to play into their hands. Meanwhile, let's go back to Kevin O'Keefe in C2. He's got a bit of a battle going on with João Oliveira and Manuel Sanchez, and that is for the 4th, 5th, and 6th position, as we see a move made up into the keyhole, and I believe that is Oliveira taking the spot. Because now it looks like another spot may be lost by O'Keefe, with Sanchez looking on the inside, and he's got the desired line coming down the backstretch.
Yes, Sanchez does have the desired line on the inside, but you can make it work if you the outside car just break a little deeper and take it away. But Kevin O'Keefe's going to back away. I think he recognizes that there is a lot of race left, maybe a little too early to try a pushing side-by-side action going into China Beach. And sure enough, Corvette's getting loose over that crest, as we kind of knew that they would, Joe.
Yeah, and that's causing a bit of a train to back up. Tim Abbott has caught them, and it looks like Ruben Velasco was for a second, but now we got an HPD coming up into the mix, as these 4 cars are going to have to deal with the leader of the C1 class coming through. It looks like Abbott is going to let him on by. Now he's coming up to Kevin O'Keefe. Let's see how he handles it as they come through the carousel. Is he going to wait patiently behind? He's got more downforce, so he should be able to take it faster. Yeah, he's just going to sit behind these guys, wait for the right moment to try and get by. Looks like Estefania doesn't really have anybody close behind him, so he has to be patient here. And this goes into smart driving that kind of plays into what we talked about with Kevin O'Keefe, knowing he's got a lot of race left, Kevin. You have to be thinking, laps ahead, moves ahead, not just right what's in front of you, as Kevin actually comes up very close on Oliveira, but doesn't make the move coming through the keyhole there. Now they've got the HPD on through. But back to what I was saying, Kevin, you have to be a smart driver in this endurance race setting.
And we may have seen some smart driving, we may not have seen some smart driving, not entirely sure yet. Joao Oliveira actually got on the brakes early, flashed his brake lights to signal to the HPD to go by, and that almost caught out Manuel Sanchez. Sanchez almost got into the back of Oliveira, just a whisker, and I think that is what caught kind of Kevin O'Keefe a little out of, not sure what he thought was going on right there with Corvette suddenly stacking up on the inside. And it looks like Sanchez may almost just threw the car off the track in Thunder Valley. So these guys are definitely struggling a little bit with the car over the crest right now.
We're getting word that some cars are going off. We're trying to figure out exactly who is going on that. I'm sorry. Nope, I'm sorry, we got some misinformation there. But yeah, that crest into Thunder Valley, man, I've been to this track personally. You really don't get a sense of how much you come over and the track dips away from you right when you're trying to get the power on over there. So you really kind of got to straight line it. And you're going to see that probably with a lot of these Corvettes with so much power, Kevin, that they're going to struggle trying to get grip around there.
And Joe, we've got to pay attention to the battle for second right now. Joao Vaz, Denny Gariz, and Anthony Kopech are going at it, hammer and tongs right now as they are moving through this Corvette field. These guys are ducking and weaving all over the track. And now also the 104 of Anton Volodin is in. So this is now a 4-car HPD pack that's trying to get through the front of the Corvette field.
Yeah, we're going side by side here with Kopech now going to have the outside of Madness here and just holds on to it, but he's trying to get back. I think that's O'Keefe. Yeah, that's O'Keefe in the Corvette that he's trying to get by as they start to get single file. Poor O'Keefe has nowhere to go. He can't make his car disappear. Now the HPDs are able to file on by and get through there, but boy, he was in a bad spot and he's lost a ton of time up to the next Corvette, Manuel Sanchez.
Yeah, and Manuel Sanchez is just trying to do what he can. Stays tight on the carousel. Vaz is ducking on the inside of Oliveira. Kopech's on the outside of the carousel. They're going side by side through turn 13. This is a little insane, Joe.
This is exactly what we expected with the unpredictability of 3 classes with varying speeds around here. Whoa, and it gets very close with Anthony Kopech coming up to Oliveira. And they thankfully both get by on the outside, and now he brakes early to let those HPDs try and get through, and that closes up with Sanchez on the back of Oliveira in the C2 class, and the battle is going to be back on now that the HPDs have finally gotten by and are heading on down the backstretch. But boy, that was touch and go for a moment there, Kevin.
Yeah, and we saw that, we've been talking about lap traffic effect, and just that one corner allowed Joao Vaz to get about a 2.5-second lead over the HPDs following him. So he was definitely very happy to see some action there. And Tim Abbott, who was running about mid-pack in the C2 Corvette field, just hit the curb on the inside of turn 1 and looped it around. He's lost a couple positions, Joe.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could get a replay of that. I was just going back to take a look at it myself. Yes, let's look at the replay now. As you said, coming towards turn 1, he was trying to stay a little too far to the inside.
Oh! And Joe, he almost clipped somebody else. He got loose through Madness over the crest and just about spun into another Corvette. I'm not sure who that was. So Abbott's got some other issues going on right now.
And that was Jaden Conwright that he nearly hit coming through Madness. It was extremely close there. And let's see if I can get back to Abbott, see where he is now. He is still off track. He's trying to get back on. Yeah, we're live now. You can see him just returning to the track. He has dropped a long ways down. I'm pretty sure he's going to be close to last place here as he gets it through Thunder Valley. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with his car. We'll have to try and keep in touch, see if maybe he got some damage somewhere that we missed. But let's hop somewhere else and see what's going on elsewhere. We haven't touched the McLaren in quite a while. Whoa, go ahead.
I have to jump in. Our leader has been black flagged for avoidable contact. Our leader has been black flagged.
Let's see if we can figure out where that was. Let's see if we can get a replay there. I'm going to go back and search, see what exactly happened to Iker Estefania. I did not see the contact myself. It looks like it was a ways back in the replay. Yeah, he's coming in the pits now as we wait to try and figure out where that replay is. Yes, this must have been a long time ago because I can't seem to find where exactly that contact was, but boy, this is the sort of stuff that we saw in the very first qualifying race with João Vaz, that even if you've got the lead, you can't just be charging through. You got to be paying attention, and João Vaz is reaping the benefits of what he fell victim to before, Kevin.
And Joe, I believe that contact was when he got into the back of João Vaz coming out of Thunder Valley, back on lap 6. So it was a while ago, but the marshals got to it, and definitely making sure that he's not, going to run away with a bump and run.
Joe, I'm going to pop in real quick with a quick update with the McLaren class. Mert Uzel, I believe it was, had a big spin in turn 1. He's going to lose a lot of time. Right now I'm watching a battle with Andres Almensberger coming up behind Paulo Martins and Patrick Pickler. These guys have been going at it for about 15 laps. Up ahead in the road, we had Omar Zanchi and Mert Uzel both having a great battle going on until the spin. Mert Uzel looks like he dropped down to 7th place, Joe. That's what has been going on here at the MP4 class.
Yeah, I'm looking at Pichler right now with Paulo Martins trying to close up on him as they go through the keyhole. Not quite close enough to make anything happen. This is, I don't want to curse these poor guys, but this is unusual compared to what we've seen before. Usually the MP4s have seen lots and lots of action on track since they usually have the most cars. So this is relatively quiet for this class.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised myself. But
our C2 leader is off. I'm sorry, Brian, but our C2 leader, Stefan Overgaard, just went off in turn 1. He had an HPD spook him a little bit, and Overgaard is off in the grass, and Andre Martin is your new C2 leader.
Yeah, you're looking at the replay right now. Thankfully, he was able to keep it into the dirt and out of the barriers, and I'm trying to see if he's actually lost the lead. Yeah, Andre Martins is on by him, so Andre Martins inherits the lead as Stefan Overgaard has to fight back. Meanwhile, Brandon Eves, I'm trying to see, is Brandon Eves actually ahead of him as well? No, it looks like Brandon Eves is still behind him.
Right, Eves is about 4 seconds behind Overgaard in 3rd place in the C2 Corvettes, and it looks like 10th overall on track. So Braden Eves, a new runner for us, a little quiet, but he's having a good run so far.
And if you're looking at Braden's number, that is a number 912. Cars in the 900 you have to watch out for, because those guys are not regular participants yet. Basically, drivers who took part in the qualifying race, round 0 as we call it, those guys are automatically in for all and fighting for the championship. They don't have to worry about their status in this series. If they have a 900 or above, that means they have to stay clean. If they get a black flag, they are going to be under probation very quickly. And if they get another one, they're out of here. They're not allowed back in the series. So those guys are here to prove themselves. And Braden seems to be doing a fairly good job running up in 3rd right now.
Yeah, his car definitely looks clean, as he's got the HPD of, I'm not entirely sure who that is, of Mark Muckey going by as they approach the carousel. Muckey going a little deeper than he wants to in that corner, but easy peasy, around he goes.
Yeah, kind of by himself. Mark is currently sitting in 6th. And actually, I'm seeing only 7 HPDs on course at the moment. Looks like Lars Conrad, he lost the plot somewhere along the way because he's 14 laps down, so he must be out of this race. We have about an hour and 4 minutes left to go in this race, so we're not quite a 1/3 of the way in. We haven't talked about pit stops yet. I believe these guys have about an hour's worth of fuel. Most of these cars do. Is that correct?
Yeah, if my arithmetic skills can be trusted, that's what I definitely have for the HPDs and for the Corvettes, about an hour. So that gives them about a 30-minute pit window to play with. So we're going to see a lot of pit strategy playing out, and it's going to be tough to see who's going to actually gain an advantage from that.
Speaking of the HPDs, let's hop up with João Vaz leading that C1 class, because Dennis Gurry currently holding on to 2nd, and very closely they just made their way through a pack of C3 cars, and now he's starting to lose touch, so maybe that traffic was what allowed him to get the pressure onto João Vaz. Let's see if he can hold on here, because we haven't seen Gurry's that far up in the past from what I recall, Kevin.
No, he struggled a little bit with the HPD. He's still a little new to the car, very much an IndyCar driver and good at it. But he's having a good run so far, even if it has been helped a little bit by traffic and the damage on the back of João Vaz's car. But he's not the only other podium change. We just had Anthony Kopech get passed by Anton Volodin. So unlike Daytona, the podium in the HPD field is swapping around like crazy today.
Yeah, and boy, I have to think that we need to thank Troy Schultz for stepping away for a moment, because I would imagine that even though he would have been experiencing the same difficulties, he probably would have run away with it again. So these guys are really giving us a good show today. João Vaz trying to hold on. I think he's hungry for that win. He didn't get it when he could have had it at Suzuka, and he just was outpaced at Daytona. Here he's got an opportunity if he can just keep the mistakes away, as he's actually coming up on Ramon Saez in his own class. So this is going to be lap traffic in the same class, which is a completely different beast, as they've got also a C3 car as they're zipping by down the back straightaway. And it looks like Ramon is going to play nice and let Vaz by. Yes, he brakes early, lets the leaders on through, and actually lets the McLaren back on through. So good racing from Ramon. Good heads-up driving, letting the leaders go on by when he gets the blue flag.
But we have to pay attention here, because these HPD leaders have a whole stack of McLarens in front of them through the twisty bits. They are probably going to get held up through here in Thunder Valley. Yes, they are. Vaz almost gets into the back of that McLaren right there. And Gariz is looking to get in on it as well. That's a little bit too early. And they're going to run with this side-by-side action through turn 10. That requires a lot of faith in the McLaren driver right there.
Absolutely, and good on him for keeping a predictable line. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about. When we say a pick, that's basically when you have a car in front of you that's of a slower class. Whoa, and there was another move by Gariz trying to get by the inside of one and didn't quite make it. He's very close, coming up to the keyhole. Is he going to take another dive on the inside of Vaz? Vaz goes defensive. Looks like he's not going to be able to do it this time around. It is getting hot and heavy, but back to what I was saying with a pick. If you got a slower car, whoa, and he gets a very good exit. I am just not going to get to talk about this, Kevin. Looks like he's got the inside line this time.
Yeah, Greed just pulled a classic over-under move. He went wide on the entry and tight on the exit, was able to get under Vaz, but Vaz has very good performance under brakes and retains the lead. But now they've got Corvettes and McLarens in front of them as they get into the twisty bits here.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to see them close up on the Corvettes, because they've got so much more downforce. And just closing up on, who is that? Jiri Mojak, one of the back markers. Whoa, very close, trying to go side by side again for Guri. Let's see if he gets another pick yet again. He can't quite get by with that Corvette in the way. They've got a McLaren coming up now as they head towards the carousel. If he can just find the right moment and be on the right side of the track, Guri he's got the momentum. He just can't quite time it right.
Yeah, and that's a very fast McLaren driver, Omar Zanchi. He's third place overall, or excuse me, in the C3 class right now, but he lets both the HPDs through in turn 1. That's smart driving right there.
Now that we've got some distance, a pick. Let me talk about what a pick is. You've got a slower car in front. If you box the other car in that's trying to pass you, they have nowhere to go, so they have to slot in behind you. You can try to go 3 wide, but it's really not advisable, especially on a slow, thin course like this. So that's what we keep talking about when we mention a pick. It's a strategic move to try and hold the other person back. It's very much a feature of multi-class racing. We're going to replay, although I'm not exactly sure on what. Jiri Mojak spun. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mojak spun, got into the rear of the HPD Anthony Kopech. Kopech is in pit lane. He has heavy damage to his left rear wheel, though. That might be the end of his race. I hope it isn't, though.
That's an unfortunate sight to see, but like we said, we kind of expected a bit of that chaos in this track. So I guess Jiri Mojak falls victim to what we kind of thought was going to happen. So as things play out, we haven't touched on the top 5 in these various different classes. Let's run through that real quick. João Vaz leading the way in C1 and overall. Anton Volodin is second in C2. Dennis Guri is in third. Iker Estefania in fourth. And Anthony Kopech, well, he was fifth, but I'm not seeing him on track, so I guess Mark Mucky is going to inherit fifth place there. So let's move to C2 class. What's that looking like, Kevin?
And I just got to update you on the podium. Dennis Gariz, he got into the back of João Vaz into Thunder Valley, and looks like he put it into the wall. Gariz did, got a little bit of damage. He might be okay, though. But the lead in the Corvettes is held by Andre Martin. About 7 seconds behind him is Braden Eves. In third in the Corvettes is Stefano Overgaard, then Joao Oliveira and Manuel Sanchez. And finally, let's talk about the McLarens, Brian.
Certainly, João Cardozo has basically ran away with this race, and with all the traffic battles and different things going on, it doesn't look like he's going to lose any time anytime soon. Following up also with a pretty big gap between the next cars, Tom Valentini. He's also been using traffic to his advantage and just kind of sitting comfortably as he rides out his race here. Following up there is Omar Zanchi in third place, and his closest competitor will be Paulo Martins. Right now, it looks like we got an HPD, between them. And then in fifth, we got Andreas Allmansberger. All of these drivers in the front five have had extraordinary clean races. The only real drama I've seen in this class in the last couple of laps was there was a battle between Bjorn Eric Fladmark and Mike Sargent, and they had a couple of HPDs coming through as they were also battling out. It made a very uncomfortable moment, but everyone got through it all right, Joe.
Yes, uncomfortable moments abound probably in the cockpits with guys squirming in their seats trying to make their way through this traffic. Let's talk about Iker Estefania for a moment. He got a black flag earlier. He's currently 17 seconds back. I saw he was 15 before, but I'm pretty sure that black flag should have set him back more than 15 seconds. I'm wondering if this traffic is playing into his hands, trying to track down the leaders and make up that time, Kevin.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. He's definitely been getting a little lucky with traffic right now. But, you know, I suspect that Joao Vaz has damage on the rear of his car, and I think that's holding him up. So I think he's losing out to Iker Estefania right now until Vaz is able to pit and get that damage repaired if he can, because I'm pretty confident that's holding him up right now.
Yeah, that might be the case because we've seen him had a number of cars come up behind him and try to make the move and make pass attempts, but no one's been able to do it so far. Anton Volodin is only a little over a second behind him as well. So I wonder if his pace is really hurting to the point that cars are running him down all over the place. He's basically just been the Angels making his way through this field and allowing him to hold on to that lead.
Yeah, but you know what? Now that they've gone through the entire field once, it's going to be a lot more difficult to really kind of gain on everybody because now the entire field is spaced out a little bit more. There's a little bit bigger gaps between cars, so it's going to be a little more, I should say a little more easy for the faster class car to get around the lap car without losing a lot of time. But I want to go back to this battle between Joao Oliveira and Manuel Sanchez in the C2 Corvettes because it has picked up again. These guys are sitting about a half second to a 30-second apart as they go through the carousel onto the front straight, and they have a couple of McLarens in front of them. So this is going to be another intra-class battle right here.
Yes, and you're currently looking at the battle for 4th and 5th place between Oliveira and Sanchez, as Sanchez gets a very good run out of one. In fact, let's see if Oliveira stays defensive. He's holding right in the middle of the track, trying to make his car as wide as possible. Looks like he's going to be able to hold him off, but like you said, that over-under trick, especially with these very powerful cars. Whoa, huge launch from Sanchez, too much, and he goes off track, and now he's lost a ton of time. It looks like he is under threat from Albert as well.
Yep, but they do have Mark Hewitt and that McLaren in front of them that they're trying to get around right now. As Sanchez goes defensive on Albert, I'm not sure if that's going to quite work. They're side by side. The McLaren goes off in the weeds. Is he going to be able to keep it off the track and keep from hitting him? He does. Francisco Albert gets the position over Sanchez. A lot of action right there.
Yeah, that was very well done by that MP4 driver. That was Mark Hewitt who went off track, and it's very easy to try and get over eager and just return in the middle of that next corner up over that crest, but thankfully he had his head up and did not return to the track. I know every time I see a car go off when I'm driving on this track at China Beach, my immediate thought is watch the left side, because you have no idea when that car is coming back on a lot of times.
Yeah, Joe, and you were talking earlier today about trusting the other driver in the other class for the McLarens. It's a lot like driving the Ford GT and the Proto GT series. If you have the virtual mirror on, it's really easy to think the car behind you is a lot closer than he really is. And since the view is oftentimes stretched out, it also looks like he's coming up much faster than he is. So what this does is it makes you feel over anxious, you overcorrect, you might make a mistake here or there, and before you know it, you're riding through the grass. So it's very important that people stay calm, manage the traffic the best that they can, and realize that we're all in this together. We all want to finish this race, so it's going to be clean if we let it be clean.
Absolutely. We've got 53 minutes left to go on the clock. We are going to go to a short break. We are getting very close to the halfway point in this race, but we're going to join you in a second after commercials. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio, where we're watching round 2 in the EnduroPro Series. Zhao Vaz leading the way overall and in C1 class. And Brian, boy, he had a bit of a moment with Derek Waller in the C3.
Yeah, I didn't really see exactly what happened, but from what I saw, Jarrett Lawrence was trying to just follow a line, and all of a sudden he kind of veers over and collects Vaz. I don't know how much damage either of them got, but it looks like Jarrett Lawrence has left the race, so it might be a pretty bad hit. As far as it goes, though, I'm going to put it on the McLaren driver because while it's the responsibility of the HPD to make a clean pass, it is also the responsibility of the lower class car to make their intentions clear ahead of time so the HPD driver isn't taken off guard and forced to make a move that he otherwise wouldn't be able to make. And like I said, it comes down to respect on the track. It comes down to being aware of your surroundings. You can't expect an HPD to see you at last second and stop despite having all that downforce. And these are just those kind of multi-class incidents that pop up from time to time. At the end of the day, I don't think there will be anything bad coming out between this. It's something that as we go throughout the season that we have to be more awareness or have more awareness of so that we can avoid these kind of contacts, Joe.
Speaking of awareness, the stewards are currently... Oh, and I'm sorry, we have a car off. That was Anton Volodin, our second place driver, actually just went off at the carousel. Not sure what exactly happened there. Not sure if we can get a replay real quick. He was actually trying to hunt down Zhao Vaz, our leader, before he went off. So, yeah, you're looking at the replay now. It looks like he just lost his sight line coming into that fast left-hander and went off and thankfully kept it out of the wall and continued on. But as I was saying, speaking of awareness... The stewards are quite aware of Dennis Gary now because they have given him a warning. He's very lucky, I have to say, they didn't get a black flag. They've been telling him to be a little bit more respectful as he goes through the slower classes. So they've got their eye on him. However, if you have your eye on us and you want to talk to us, you can contact us at GSR Channel on Twitter. We'll try to answer any questions and acknowledge any comments that you might have. Also, get a hold of the EnduroPro Series on Twitter at EnduroPro Series. Same thing with Facebook at /EnduroPro Series. You can leave them comments and follow all the news that they have. But back to On Track. It's been wild so far. If you're just joining us, this Mid-Ohio, this twisty bit. Oh, we've got an accident. I'm sorry. There was an accident with Mert Utzel, a huge accident coming into the carousel. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Let's see if we can get a replay here. We're on replay with Mert Utzel coming up into the carousel here. He just loses it, starts to spin, and that was Zhao Vaz, the leader of the HPDs, that ran into him, just straight on into him. That was a huge hit, and Zhao did not go into the pits after that, which was right there. I'm surprised by that. I would have thought that he had gotten enough damage that would merit him going in. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see if he got enough damage from that. But Mert Utzel, wow, that was a huge hit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not able to continue after that one.
It's such a shame, too. Mert started off the race very strongly, and he was running great until he had his first corner spin. He lost a lot of time, but he ended up making a lot of it back up on Andreas Allmensberger, closing the gap down to only a couple of seconds. And then it's just, you know, when you see a contact like this, it's very disappointing and frustrating for both the driver and the viewer watching the battle form. But, you know, it's part of multi-class racing. I think he's a very classy driver. He's going to be angry for a little while, but he'll move on to the next race if his race is indeed over and continue to put up the good results, Joe.
So it might have been a bit of a net lag, what we call in iRacing and sim racing, that Zhao Vaz experienced. His car does not look like it has damage, although that, man, he must be incredibly lucky there. Mert Utzel, not so much. With these cars not actually being physically there is a bit of a discrepancy on where exactly they are on track. iRacing is incredibly accurate and gets them down pretty close, but sometimes if the car is far away from the server, they might just be a little bit different from where you're seeing on your screen to what they're seeing on their screen. But Zhao Vaz does not have it all his way, because right now Anton Volodin is right up behind him, trying to hunt him down for the overall lead, and he is just doing all he can to try and get by using the traffic wherever he can. They're coming up on, I believe that is Kevin O'Keefe, and it looks like, wow, Vaz got very much held up as they're coming into the carousel once again, but it looks like playing multi-class playing its way. Anton Volodin gets held up to, whoa, bit of a bobble from Kevin O'Keefe as they go through the carousel. Everyone thankfully makes it through. But that, again, is just one of those features of this multi-class. Sometimes you get the breaks, sometimes you don't, but the same applies to absolutely everybody on the track. It's a give-and-take situation, Brian.
Yeah, Joe, and it is a give-and-take situation. Right now I've been watching this battle between Patrick Pickler and Paulo Martins for the last, I don't know, 30 laps. These guys have been really, really, really going at it. It looks like Paulo lost a little bit of time to Patrick, but nonetheless, he's having a great race. I think we'll be coming up to our pit window pretty shortly here, so I'm wondering if tire wear is becoming a factor and why we're getting more spread out. And also with the attrition factor in some of the other classes, we haven't had too many people leave the race, but that has also helped spread out the traffic and get a little more cleaner racing going, Joe. I got some word here that Mert Uzel has also disconnected from the server, so it looks like his damage was terminal and he won't be able to finish today.
Sad to see for Mert. Like you said, he was having a fairly good day up until then. So sometimes that's the way it goes. You have to pack up and accept that them's the breaks. Meanwhile, I'm back up still with Anton Volodin because he is not giving up. Oh, but now he's trying to play the strategy card as Anton goes in to make a pit stop. Let's see how he does in here. This could be something that allows him to leapfrog Vaz. Now, what that is if he gets a better outlap or has less traffic as he comes out. Oh, and he misses his pit, so that's not going to help him to try and leapfrog Vaz. But what he has to do is try to run some lightning laps, make better progress through traffic than João Vaz does. And when Vaz pits and comes back out, he can be ahead of him without actually having to physically pass him on track. It's a strategy ploy that you see in all types of racing that involve pit stops. Now Anton heads on out. So unfortunately, that missing of his pit stall is going to cost him precious seconds. And if Vaz gets some good laps in, that's going to mean that Anton is not going to be able to leapfrog him.
I'm really interested in Vaz's race today because it seems like he's a very fast driver. He knows what he's doing on track, but like you were saying earlier at the beginning of the race, he doesn't really feel comfortable in some of these traffic situations. It's not that he can't do it, it's just that he doesn't have a lot of the experience that some of these other guys do in multi-class racing. And as we've seen in the warm-up race and a few of the other races that we've gone through here, traffic and avoiding contact with other classes has been a little bit of a problem. It's not that he's doing it intentionally, it's just, it takes time. Multi-class driving is a lot different than single-class or multi-make single-class kind of racing where, everyone's almost on the same page. Here, there's such a speed differential. You have to think almost lightning quick. You don't get a lot of time to plan out your passes, and that's where it catches a lot of newer drivers to this kind of racing out.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
The other thing I'm wondering about João Vaz is he's got this damage on the rear of his car that's got to take away from some of the rear grip. And maybe he's just not confident in his car right now. He's just not comfortable, and that makes it a little more difficult for him to try and get through traffic as he declines an opportunity with a McLaren right there through Madness.
Yeah, in the meantime, actually, I want to hop back to C2 because that battle between Albert and Oliveira is still going on, and that is currently for the 4th and 5th position still. Albert trying to hunt him down. He was very close a second ago, but he lost a little bit of time coming through turn 1. Let's see if he closes up through the keyhole.
Not a whole lot. These guys do have to be careful, and they still got Stefan Overgaard in front of them just a little bit. That gap hasn't really changed a whole lot, but there is at least one McLaren in front of them a little bit, so maybe they'll be able to use that as a pick here. But Albert just not quite close enough to make anything happen, and neither is Sanchez on Albert for that fact.
Those of you paying attention to the clock, we have 40 minutes left to go, which means we are past the halfway point. And with many of these guys starting to employ pit strategy, if they can't leapfrog them, then it's going to have to be done on track, which means they've really got to get their foot down and get themselves up on top of the wheel, as we like to say. Albert closes up a bit coming into Thunder Valley, so it looks like maybe he's a little bit more confident through that back section.
Yeah, could be. Tough to tell a little bit. Oliveira definitely looks like he's been struggling a little bit. He keeps kind of getting understeer, which is when the car won't turn. And I thought he was doing that right there, but Oliveira ducks into pit lane, so he's going to go and get some fresh shoes for his car and come back out here.
Albert taking over the 4th spot, but possibly only momentarily. This is where he's got to pick up the speed himself and try and run some hot laps. But let's jump away from this. Let's go back to that C1 class for a bit and see how João Vaz and Anton Volodin are doing. Anton, it looks like Vaz still hasn't pitted, so he's electing to try and run himself out of fuel maybe here, go for a long first stint. Iker Estefania still trying to make up that time. It is down to 13 seconds. I think it's safe to say that his pace, oh, I'm sorry, it's 8 seconds now across the line. Cut off 5 whole seconds that time around. So Iker is grabbing, time hand over fist and try and run down Vaz here.
Yeah, it could very well be. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to point out that João Cardoza just lapped Andres Allmendsberger with HPD traffic coming by. Allmendsberger went off, it looked like turn 2 into the sand, but was able to save the car. I did not see what happened, but I'm showing that he is 2 laps behind the leader. So I don't know if he made a pit stop or had some drama that I missed during the break, but he is considerable way back. Also, just before that happened, when we were coming around Madness and all these more tricky technical parts of the track, João Vaz was about to pass him, and then he slipped out just a little bit, and it was enough for Andres Allmendsberger to say, enough of this, I'm getting out of the way. He pulled over, let him by, and went on with his race.
So a lot of guys trying to make decisions based not on the speed that they can run, but just trying to make it to the end of this race. And it looks like at this point, that's kind of what a lot of guys might have to think about. Lars Conrad is out. Carlos Gracia Foss is out. Tim Abbott is out. Jarrett Lawson is out. Anthony Kopech has left the race. Jay van der Geest is out. And Mert Utzel, as we mentioned before, is the last car to have left us.
Joe, I need to jump in real quick. It looks like we have the MP4s diving into the pits. Right now I see Cedric Finzak. Let's see who else here. We got Tom Valentini, João Cardoza, and Riley Evans Wyans went by, so I don't think he's going to pit quite yet. But we do have cars trickling into the pits very slowly at different times, and that's about where the strategy is going to come into play.
Yeah, and Cardozo and Valentini are 1-2 in that C3 class. Patrick Pitchler is also right behind him. But Cardozo, his lead is definitely paying off because he's already off. Valentini still hasn't left his pit. Same thing with Pitchler. Those guys are losing a lot of time, actually, and usually long pit for them from what I can see. Now Valentini finally takes off. It looks like everybody is employing just about the same strategy. Sargent is in. And let's see, is Zanchi in? No, Zanchi is going to continue on. But
Joe, I'm going to jump in. Our spotter has caught Francisco Esteve Albert is nosed it into the wall in the carousel. Tried to go side by side with McLaren out of turn 11, and just didn't work out for him. Ran out of track and straight into the wall. That might be the end of his chances at a podium today.
Oh, that's unfortunate to see. I'm not sure if we can get a replay of that and see what exactly happened as you described. Nope, looks like unfortunately we did not catch that one.
Stefan Overgaard has just gone sideways and went off the track. He just barely missed the HPD traffic and several McLarens coming through. I'm going to rewind just a little back as we go back to the replay.
Brian, it looks like Overgaard got into the side of a McLaren right there.
Yeah, and I'm watching him drive on the grass right now. He is actually having a lot of trouble driving. He's going to take a tow to the pits. This might be a bad incident for Stefan Overgaard.
Very bad.
I'm showing a lot of damage on the left side of Overgaard's car. He looks very hurt. Looks like I'm not entirely sure that was. It looks like it was Cedric Finsack, who was the C3 McLaren driver that Overgaard got into. I think that was just a bad situation. There are 3 classes right there, and I'm going to put that down to a racing incident. We'll see if the admins agree with me.
Yeah, Kevin. Oh, sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
I was going to say I feel like that was just a slight dive bomb from Overgaard, so I'm not sure that they're going to smile on that one because they said that everybody needs to watch out and they might be cracking down. So I don't know. It's a tough call on that one, Brian.
Yeah, and Joe, you took the words right out of my mouth. As we noted before, a lot of the McLaren drivers have made pit stops, so their tires and braking might not be optimal yet. So for for Overgaard to go and trying to break that late into that corner. That's a very risky move. I don't know if I would have personally done it, but you know, at the same time, he's trying to keep his pace up and maybe just got caught out a little bit. It looked like a racing accident. I'm not going to put blame on either or. Just one of those things.
Just a quick update. I said that Van der Geest is out of the race. That was incorrect. I apologize. Van der Geest is still running, and he's currently sitting in 30th overall and 14th in his class. He is just 12 laps down, so I guess he must have had quite an incident earlier on in the race. Let's go through, since I think we've got most of the pit stops out of the way, so let's go through the top 5 once again. João Vaz leading C1 still after, and he's actually going into his pit stop right now.
Joe, if you don't mind, just jumping in real quick. It looks like Francisco Esteve Albert came back out on the track and went around turn 2, and then just all of a sudden kind of drifted off to the side and into the wall. So I think he's given up too. Sorry to cut in real quick, but it looks like his day is now done.
Unfortunate to see. But now Iker Estefania has inherited the lead, and João Vaz is currently holding his pit stop as well. So I'm going to hold off just a little bit longer to call these top 5 because I thought things had settled out, but apparently not so, especially not at a chaotic course like this today. João Vaz continues out, and let's see where he is actually as far as it goes. It looks like he's ahead of Anton Volodin, but only just, and so he's going to be sitting second right now for João Vaz.
Yeah, and Vaz has about a 5-second lead over Anton Volodin right now on track, so that's pretty good. He served a pit stop that was about 8 seconds faster than Volodin, so that was well done. And it looks like Vaz still has the damage on his rear end, so I guess he's okay enough with the car that he didn't want to deal with the extra time to repair it. But whether or not that's going to allow him to stay in front of Iker Estefania, we have yet to see, because Estefania still needs to pit. I wonder if he's going to do that right now. Looks like he's peeling off. Yep, Estefania is in. He's going to serve his pit stop, get some fresh fuel and maybe some new kicks, and he'll be on his way too.
This is the battle to watch as Iker Estefania slows it down to the achingly slow pit speed and looks for his stall up towards the front. João Vaz is coming around right now. I don't think this is going to be enough. I definitely don't think this is going to be enough, because Estefania is just into his stall now, and Vaz is coming around, so Vaz is going to come back into the lead with Volodin trying to hunt him down, and Volodin is a ways back. It looks like he's got about 5 seconds, like you mentioned before, Kevin, so he's got to get his foot down and try and make up that time if he wants to get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not quite sure just how far back Estefania is behind Volodin right now, but it's not particularly close. It looks about half of the back straight, so that's about 2 or 3 seconds, I guess. Estefania, I think, has been a little faster than Volodin today, so he should be able to catch up to Volodin. Whether or not Estefania will be able to pass Volodin, as always, is another matter, Joe.
Well, we haven't talked about C3 very much this race, and I have to apologize, Brian, that we haven't been able to talk to you much about that, but it seems like things have spread out quite a bit. It looks like the C2 class did last race.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like a slinky effect going on right now because of all the pit stops and different things that happen with traffic and attrition. There's been a lot of overtaking within class. Right now I'm watching the battle with Bjorn Eric Fladmark, and behind him Mike Sargent and Riley Wyans. They've all been going at it for quite a while now since the pit stop, so I wonder if someone lost extra time during that whole situation. The top 5 right now, I might as well get it out of the way. We got João Cardoza up with a huge lead, still managing traffic expertly, followed by Tom Valentini. He's having a great clean race, but unfortunately, because of the huge lead of João, he's off in no man's land. Following up with him is Omar Zanchi in 3rd, Patrick Pickler in 4th, and Paulo Martins in 5th.
Well, we finally got a top 5 in. Oh, and I'm sorry, Riley Wyans, who we were watching earlier, had a huge moment. And actually just behind him, who is that? That's Dennis Gurry almost going off at the carousel. Both of those cars having trouble with the final end of this lap. But now it looks like Gurry has got it collected. It's going to go on by the McLaren of Wyans. So Wyans has lost some time, unfortunately, to Sargent, who is battling earlier. Let's go through the top 5 of the other classes, since we managed to get through those in the C3 class. João Vaz continuing to lead the way in C1. Anton Volodin working his hardest to try to reel him in. Iker Estefania, despite a black flag, still in 3rd place, only 8 seconds back from the leader. Dennis Gurry is in 4th, and then Mark Muckey rounds out the top 5. Kevin?
Your C2 leader is Andre Martin, who's having a great run for quite a while now. In second place is Braden Ease, the newcomer, having a fantastic run, sitting there in second, keeping that car nice and clean. Third is Jaden Conwright, fourth Ruben Velasco, and fifth Manuel Sanchez. And I should point out that our two leaders, Andre Martin and Braden Ease, have not stopped yet, Joe.
Interesting to note, and I'm looking for Stefan Overgaard in the standings here. And it looks like he is in the pits right now, although he has 5 laps down. So I guess he had to go in and get his damage fixed. And I haven't seen a black flag from the stewards for him yet. So I guess that they paid some leniency to poor Stefan, especially considering all the time that he is losing in the pits right now. But Andre Martin is the one I want to talk about, Kevin. What does this do for your confidence after losing the last race and then coming back to round 2 and really just dominating most of the way? I mean, Stefan Overgaard led for a little bit early on, but ever since a mistake earlier on in the race, Andre has been untouchable yet again.
Yeah, Andre is definitely looking very good, and I would normally think that he would probably be pretty confident that he led the last time, was pretty much the assured winner for the last race, and looks to be that this time, except he has an unknown commodity behind him in the car of Braden Ease. He doesn't know what Braden is capable of doing, so I think he has to worry about that, and maybe Andre's pushing himself a little harder than he might in other circumstances. So this is definitely still open for anything, really.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Andre has quite a gap back to Braden, although he did back to Stefan, if I recall, last time as well. And as we see Andre have an HPD, and I believe that is Guri. Yeah, Guri is trying to get on by his Corvette now. Martins needs to just run off his laps. He's got less than half an hour to go. He's got a good distance back to second place. He knows what happens when he pushes too hard, as we saw with unfortunate results last time at Daytona. So I would think that at this point, he's just trying to settle in, just, stay calm, and try to run a comfortable line.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we may have Stefan Overgaard available for an interview. Stefan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
So, Stefan, you were leading a few laps of the race. You were looking pretty strong in the early parts, and then not too long ago, disaster seemed to strike.
Yeah, I was hitting traffic to McLaren's, and I thought I could get one before the end of the straight, and missed my braking point and hit the next one.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. Looks like you have a lot of damage on the left side of the car. Are you going to be able to fix that and get back out there?
I was trying to just do the mandatory repairs, and that still was pretty much unfavorable. So I'll try the optional and see how it feels. Then there's 2 minutes left. That still.
Well, it definitely seemed a little hairy out there with some of the traffic. Can you tell us about what it looked like from your point of view?
Yeah, there was some pretty hairy situations, especially when all 3 classes came together at once. I think that's also when I lost the lead. There was a couple of incidents with the 3 classes, and it's pretty much only on the straights you can overtake, and it's except for the HPDs, they can do a bit on the infields if they have the right setup.
Do you feel like the HPDs were being fair in the infield, or were they being a little too aggressive?
That seemed pretty fair. You just had to show that which line you were going to take, and they could see if they could do the pass or not.
All right. Well, thanks for taking time to talk to us, Stefan, and hope you're able to get back out there and run a few more laps.
Yeah, I'll see you in 1 minute.
And Joe, we got to report in Dennis Gariz, who was running, I believe, fourth in the HPDs, ran off on the carousel and put it in the wall, and he is done for the day.
Yeah, that left-hander seems to be biting a number of people. It looks like he just put his wheels off into the dirt, and that barrier is extremely close on the left side. When you do that, there's nothing you can do. It's an instant trip to the pits, which, it looks like he's done, like you said, he's gone from the course. So that is going to promote Mark Mucky up into third, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to it for long because there's an anxious Iker Estefania running him down.
Yeah, and actually, and I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but Estefania is sitting in fourth. He has lost positions on the HPD leaders. I have no idea what's going on, to be honest.
I'm not sure if that was actually for his pit stop, that maybe he had just cycled his way back down through. But yeah, it could have been a mistake that we have missed somewhere along the way. We'll have to see if we can figure that one out. But I'm pretty sure that he's had much better pace than Mucky most of the way. So Mucky is either going to have to race very defensively in these final few laps that we've got, 23 minutes left, or he is going to have to hope for traffic to really go his way.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a matter of time right now. But we do want to check in with the front of the C2 field, and Braden Ease has finally stopped and served his gotten a fresh tank of fuel. Andre Martin still has not yet stopped, so Andre is definitely just going to run it until he runs out of gas. Hopefully he'll have enough to get back into pit lane.
Yes, he's actually going in right now, it looks like. So Andre Martin's, oh, and he just goes off into the grass a little bit, but thankfully he keeps it on. That's something we haven't talked about, Kevin, is this pit entry. It's bit its fair share of guys over the years.
Yeah, it's one of the nastier pit entries that you can run into. It's, first off, you're off into the very tricky entry in the carousel, and all of a sudden you have to grab a different line, and then it's a long, long right-hander that suddenly just drops away from you and closes up on the apex, and there's a bunch of grass for you to hit on the outside. So it's one of those where if you're not paying attention and not at full focus, it'll end your race.
Very much so. We're watching Andre Martins now exit his pit stall with Braden Eves still a long ways back. So it looks like Andre is going to continue on unscathed and be able to just try and run his laps, hopefully get his win that was stolen from him at the very end of the last race 2 weeks ago at Daytona. Doing very well so far. I'm going to knock on wood so that I don't curse the poor guy. He's all by himself right now. So, Andre, we're pulling for you.
I'm seeing a lot of smart driving all over the track here in the McLaren field. At first glance, it looks like the back markers are actually holding up Tom Valentini, but what they're really doing is holding their line and giving Tom full control on the situation of passing, because that way you're not slamming the door on the Corvettes and the HBDs as they come up. As we go 3 wide going up the hill here, it looks like the Corvette's going to tug back, but as I was getting back to my point, if you are going to pull over and let the person in your class by, you could be slamming the door on the HPD or the Corvette trying to pass, and that will cause incidents. So what you want to do is, sorry, I'm getting all sorts of pranks going on up here in the booth, but what you want to do is hold your line, let the person in your class make the pass when it's safe to do so, and then let the Corvettes and the HPDs get by naturally. That way you avoid any kind of contact you get here on the track.
Well, let's hold on with this battle that they just went by, and that is Mark Hewitt and Cedric Finzak, because this is for position, even though it's a little ways down the MP4 field, and that is actually for 10th and 11th between these guys. They were very close with that traffic getting in the way. That was Ruben Velasco, by the way, who was trying to get through as they headed through Madness just a little bit ago. And now Braden Eves, the second place C2 car, is going to split them up and give Cedric Finzak just a little bit of breathing room, Brian.
And actually, I got to point out real quick, correct you, Joe, that Braden Ease is actually our third place C2 driver. Ruben Velasco is our second place driver.
Huh, so apparently we missed that somewhere along the way. I guess that happened from the pit stops.
Yeah, it looks like it. Velasco had a stop that was about 2.5 seconds faster than Braden Ease, but Braden Ease is only about a second behind Velasco, so this one's definitely on. But Ease has Manuel Sanchez not far behind him as well either.
Now, I'm impressed with Velasco. We saw him win the qualifying round in Suzuka, which doesn't count for points in the championship, unfortunately. And then he did very well at Daytona, if I'm recalling right. And currently sitting in second. You know, this is the sort of stuff that's going to run you to a championship. It's not always about winning races, but more just about consistency. You can't have your race, ended prematurely time after time. You have to just continue to be running, being up in those podium positions and just racking up points.
Yeah, you said it. consistency is key. Consistency is key, especially at a track like Mid-Ohio where we're seeing guys wreck out. But I got to go towards the front of the HPD field because there's a battle on for third. Iker Estefania is only about a third of a second behind Mark Mucky, and definitely looking like he's very racy and ready to get around him. But there's lap traffic in front of them as usual, so we'll see how this interacts, how they interact with this lap traffic, if they're able to get through it cleanly or something happens. Estefania looking for the over-under. McLaren spins off in front of him, so that definitely caused Estefania to check up and let that sort out in front of him.
Oh, probably a smart move, and that was Mark Hewitt who spun, who we were just talking about earlier. Now they're coming up on that traffic again and through a slow portion of the course. So this is going to be a very good opportunity for Estefania to try and sneak by if Mucky gets held up, which he is through this right-hander. But then the momentum is ruined for both cars, so that's not going to be an opportunity coming into the braking for Thunder Valley. Nothing doing there. Are they going to try and sneak by? Yes, just getting by the inside of that MP4. Now they're coming up on, who is that? That's Sanchez and the C2 class. They're going to catch him right as they get to the carousel here.
And this is the most frustrating parts for the HPD most frustrating part on track for the HPDs to deal with the Corvette, because they just have such a hard time getting past the Corvette in this straight section right there. It looks like they're both gonna maybe think about going into turn one, and Estefania and Sanchez are side by side through turn one. That was a risky maneuver. I'm glad it worked out okay for everybody.
Boy, Mark made the right call on that one. I have to say it played out right into his hands. He was just in a good position to try and sneak through, and it looked like Sanchez was heads up. But poor Estefania, he had to, like you said, he had to make a very dangerous move to sneak through there, and now he's lost touch. But it looks like they got a bit more traffic coming up towards the S's once again as Mucky breaks for China Beach, and it looks like, whoo, Estefania just snuck by Valentini on the inside there, so he is trying to keep touch. He's doing everything he can with the minutes starting to tick down to try and hold on to Mucky and get back on the podium.
Yeah, you said... Go ahead,
Kevin.
I insist.
All right. Well, I was going to say, somewhere through the mess of it all, Omer Zanchi dropped all the way back to 5th place, and Patrick Pickler also moved up to 3rd place. It looks like Zanchi moved back at the 4th. It was kind of a juggling act with passing lap traffic and HPDs going through, but all three of them are having a great race, and I'm really enjoying this battle that's been forming here in the second half of the race.
Yeah, Pitchler doing quite well. If I remember, he got a podium position at Daytona, and he's currently sitting in 3rd, although with Zanchi right behind him, that is under threat. And they've got actually João Vaz coming up, so that could affect this battle as we watch these guys circle around with only less than 17 minutes left on the clock.
Well, it's worth mentioning that Patrick right now has 25 points in the standings, and he is having a great finish. Even if he comes in 3rd today, that's going to be a huge boost in his championship run here, as we're watching João Vaz go for the pass. Zanchi, on the other hand, is not in the top 5 that I see here, so this was also a great finish for him. Should he be in the top 4 or 5, he's going to get that kind of point boost that these drivers want in the early part of the season.
Yes,
and there's a big wreck. Ruben Velasco and Braden Ease, I think hit each other. Velasco was kind of scared off the track by the HPD of Iker Estefania and came across and collected somebody. I have to double check who that was, but Velasco, there's no way his car is going to be able to finish this race.
That is hard to see it, and I have to apologize to Velasco because that was probably commentator's curse. Like you said, looking at the replay, just went off track. And that was Braden Eves. Who plowed into him and absolutely sent him into the air. So Eves, he has to have a fair bit of damage himself. And I'm wondering if that's going to hurt his chances of being able to stay in this series with that contact.
Well, you know, I think he's got a case to present. He started checking up as soon as he could when he saw Velasco go off the track, and there was just nothing for him to do. Not enough time to be able to slow down and you know, avoid that. That's just unfortunate.
Well, Velasco doesn't seem too happy about it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what language that is, but he's definitely letting someone hear it in the chat at the moment, and the officials are telling him to actually keep that quiet because they prefer not to have chat during the race. This is going to ease things for Andre Martins even more. I'm trying to see how far away is Eves. Eves seems to not lost too much time, We'll have to keep an eye on his lap times to see if he's running a slower pace. But Andre Martin's, at least, the pressure just keeps easing up, and all he has to do is get to the finish at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious as the Velasco trying to drive off after going helicoptering through the air like that on that big hit. Anytime that you go airborne and you're spinning around, you know you're going to have structural damage, brake damage, you're going to have tire damage, and suspension damage. So the fact that he kept trying to soldier on, it shows that he doesn't want to give up the race in a long tow, but with the kind of damage he got there, I think putting the rest of the race in jeopardy with other drivers was probably not the responsible thing to do. Luckily to see, he has toned back to the pits and he's on his way. I'm going to jump back to C3 right now, as it looks like João Cardoso has traffic all around him, but he is still managing to find more and more pace as the race goes on. He is just running away with this race, Joe. I'm very impressed with his run today.
Well, actually, let's go back to Pichler and Zanchi, because they were side by side heading into the keyhole, and it's on back again. Zanchi trying to do the over-under, but not quite able to get the launch out of there. Heading down the back straightaway right now. These guys are still fighting for that 4th and 5th position, Brian.
Yeah, Zanchi had a very good race at the very beginning of the race. His pace was great. His consistency was very fast, and I am very not surprised to see him trying to make this time that he lost up. I wish I saw what happened so I can give you a little more of a backstory, but even still, he is having a great race today. He's not going to give up without a fight. He knows Patrick has a lot of points to give, so trying to get here into the 3rd place position will be an interesting battle here as we finish out the race.
Well, and Joe, I'm going to jump in. We just got confirmation from the stewards that there will be no penalty for Braden Eves.
Oh, good to hear that, that they're able to see that he wasn't at fault there. I have to agree that he really had nowhere to go on that one. We've got 13 minutes left to go. So once again, if you want to get a hold of us, tweet us at GSR Channel. You can ask us questions. We'll try and answer them before this race finishes out. Also, you can get a hold of the EnduroPro Series at EnduroPro Series. Well, it's coming down to the final minutes, guys. Things are starting to close up. Omar Zanchi is trying his best to get on the podium with Pichler, and Brian, he's run out of time to do it.
Yeah, but you know what? He's the type of driver that I think he can make anything happen. So this battle has been going on for about 10, 15 laps now. Zanchi did lose a bunch of time, but he's made it up pretty good. And Patrick is just not giving up without a fight. So this has been very good to watch, and it's good for the series and the viewers. I'm very happy about this battle here today, Joe.
We're getting some information. Apparently, we got contact from Braden's spotter, and his spotter is saying the damage isn't affecting him. So thanks to Braden's spotter Gresham for giving us that information. Helpful to know.
And Joe, one person whose damage definitely is affecting him is Ramon Sales. He went off straight into the wall, busted the front end of his HPD, and he's out of the race now.
Another one bites the dust. We're losing guys all over at this point. It looks like we are down to, if I'm seeing this right,
4
we're down 20
C1 drivers.
Yeah, unbelievable. And only 26 cars on track. We've lost 10 drivers. And Andreas Almensberger is actually heading into the pits right now. He's the last car on track with 11 minutes to go. So I'm not sure if he got some damage there. This is an extremely late pit.
I'm gonna go do some sleuthing around to find out what happened, but his wing is indeed pretty bent up. So I'll get back to you in a second here, Joe.
All right, and he did exit out, it looks like, so something must have happened. What's that, Kevin?
Our spotter says that Almenberger went into the wall, avoiding a teammate. Also, Kevin O'Keefe into pit lane. Big damage all up on the right side of his car. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to finish either. Sounds like also Tom Valentini also spun into a wall. Or excuse me, I guess Almenberger spun, attempting to avoid Valentini.
Valentini continues to hold down the second place position, so he seems to be without much threat, although Zanchi and Pichler are not too far behind him, so he's got to hold up as Omar Zanchi gets held up himself behind João Oliveira in the C2 class, and now really loses touch with Pichler, who is starting to run away. So things are settling down, but also heating up for some people. And João Vaz, though, is one of those guys that it's definitely not heated up for. He has got a 16-second gap. And this will be João Vaz's first win in this series if he can hold on to it for these last 10 minutes of the race.
Well, Joe, let's not curse everybody yet, because we did see last round that the last lap is still open to change the leaders right now. But the battle between Joao Vaz and Iker Estefania that we were expecting to materialize after the pit stops just kind of flittered away. Estefania had to go into pit lane for another trip. We're not sure why still, but that battle's pretty much over. Estefania is still struggling to try and catch up to Mark Mucky and maybe make that final podium position.
Yes, and credit to Mucky for being able to hold on. He actually qualified in 7th, and out of 8 cars, that means he was second to last. Worked himself up to 3rd place. You know, that old adage goes, guys, to finish first you have to finish, and Mucky might not be finishing first, but boy, is he reaping the benefits of keeping it on the track and keeping it clean.
Joe, I'm going to jump in right now. It seems like Omar Zanchi can't catch a break, as first the Corvette was holding him up. Now he has a back marker, and Cedric Finzak, who just now actually let him by, he was getting held up too. So now the battle can wage on here between Patrick Pickler and Omar Zanchi. It's like we were talking about earlier in the race, the Corvettes and the McLaren both have very similar cornering speeds, especially in some of these tighter corners, so it's very hard to manage traffic and keep your time up during these kind of situations. But it's good to see that Zanchi has gotten a hold of Patrick again, and this battle is once again continuing with the dwindling away minutes of the race here.
Yeah, Zanchi seems to be trying his hardest to get up there, but just like you said, he can't catch a break. And all he needs really is just the right moment of traffic to get right up on there and get a passing opportunity. Like Kevin said, it ain't over till it's over. These guys are going to fight all the way to the end if they're worth their salt as racing drivers. They've currently got Jaden Conright, who is sitting in 5th, and the Corvette's trying to come up on him. And this is going to hold up Zanchi once again, although he pulls back and tries to let him go. Hopefully those guys are aware, or at least that Conright is aware, that those two are fighting for position and waits for a better moment, because I don't think Conright really is under threat. Yeah, he doesn't have anybody really close to him, with Joao Oliveira a fair ways up. He needs to be patient, let these guys try to battle it out and zip by them on the straightaway.
Joe, yeah. I don't think Jaden is going to be patient, because he was just about a second behind Joao Oliveira just a few corners ago. So Jaden, I think, probably a little frustrated that he's not closer to Oliveira. I think he's going to attack.
Well, he's going to get it now, because we got the front stretch and then the run up to the keyhole and the back straightaway, which are some of the longest stretches on this course. So hopefully he'll be able to get on by at this point, because the Corvette has much better top end than these MP4s, as now you see him closing up on Zanchi and is going to be able to outbrake him coming up towards there. Yes, holds him up just a little bit into this 180-degree turn. And now Zanchi actually has to lift coming out of the exit. So poor Zanchi losing contact once again. Meanwhile, up front, Joao Vaz still untouched. Nobody try and hold him accountable at this moment. Mark Mucky, though, I'm looking back for that 3rd and 4th place. Iker Estefania has closed the gap and is now right up behind him.
He has indeed. I'm sorry, I was paying attention to the battle for the second spot in C2. I don't know how this gap between Mucky and Estefania closed up. I'm going to guess it was probably traffic, though. But Estefania, he is very close right now. So let's see if he's got something going on right now. There's a little bit of gap before they catch this McLaren. Nope, they're going to catch him into Thunder Valley. If Estefania plays it right, he might be able to squeak by. Nope, they hold up, but it looks like Mucky's going to go into turn 11 side by side. He's clear. Both HPDs are clear through 11, and the C3 McLaren lets them by very cleanly and nicely. That was well done.
Yeah, I have to give credit for Estefania for keeping his head on there. A more impatient driver with the momentum that he had probably would have tried to go 3 wide, because with so few seconds left in this race, he's running out of chances. Although he's going to have another one possibly here with more lap traffic. He's got a bit of a draft. He's not quite close enough, I think, to outbrake him coming into the keyhole. Closes up. They've got more traffic coming their way. He goes wide, looks to try and get himself a launch. It looks like he's got a very good one. He's got the momentum. They've got more traffic. They're going to go 2 wide as they slide on by that C3 car. Now they've got, who is that? That's Jaden Conright, actually, that they're coming up to, braking, and that's going to, very much close up the gap as Estefania almost runs into the back of Mucky. They're into the back section of the course, Kevin, and it's just all over the place with this battle.
And this is the place where the HPDs despise being behind the Corvettes. They just can't seem to get around them anywhere. Let's see if if Conright's going to help them get through Thunder Valley. Not sure yet. doesn't look like he's really going to help them. Is Mucky going to take a look? Mucky's kind of showing his nose on the inside. Conrad's not going to let him by. Stacks him back up through the carousel. That's definitely within Conrad's decision there. But these HPDs are just itching to get around. It feels like they're just crawling through this carousel. They're so desperate to get on the power right here, and they do. But is this straight long enough to get around Conrad? Mucky's definitely going to look at it. He's on the inside through one. Conrad breaks early, and both Mucky and Estefania through.
Yes, Estefania has been showing some immense restraint. He keeps peeking and looking at opportunities, but then decides not to do it. I'm wondering if he's playing psychological games. Once again, he takes a wide line and cuts on back, squares off that corner, tries to get himself a launch using the entire track all the way up to the curb, but it's not enough as Mucky starts to pull away down that back straightaway. They've got some more traffic. Yet again, another C3 car. It's Tom Valentini. And it looks like he might split him. No, he pulls aside. Good heads up from Valentini to allow Estefania through. Then they've got Oliveira to try and get by. Oliveira actually goes off course to let them through. Still together. Still this battle rages on. 4 minutes left to go. Estefania takes a peek coming up towards the braking for Thunder Valley. Can't quite do it. Closes up once again up over the crest. And wow, this one, I can't tell what's going to happen next, Kevin.
No, it definitely looks like Estefania's the faster driver, but he's just not really sure where he can make a move, and I think he keeps getting balked by traffic enough that he's not really sure what to do. Gets up too much on the curb on the carousel, absolutely ruins his launch for the front straight. Now he's going to have to work it, trying to hope he gets a better run into the keyhole to have a shot into China Beach, and it gets wide on the exit of one. Very lucky to keep it on the track. There's a McLaren in front of Mucky. Mucky goes on the inside. McLaren stays wide. Estefania pulls through. That was Derek Waller. Heads up driving to let that battle go through. And now they have another McLaren in front of them on the back straight. Let's see what they can do here, Joe.
Yeah, Estefania is absolutely pushing this car to the limits to try and find a way past, and it looks like he might get separated yet again. McLaren lets him on through as they outbrake him into China Beach. It looks like Estefania went a bit wide, though. He was really hustling that car through the braking zone there. Tries to hold on to the back of Mucky, coming through madness here. It looks like he's actually doing a fair good job of closing into him, so I'm wondering if Estefania has a little bit more downforce. Whoa, and they do make contact. Mucky gets spun around, and it looks like Estefania pulls off. Estefania holds on and tries to let Mucky stay on. It looks like he doesn't want to get a penalty. Oh, and he's in the wrong. Oh, he was right on the driver's line, and Jaden Conright just clipped him. I'm not sure if he got damaged there. Both cars waiting to get going. And it looks like Estefania is now exited. We are on the replay. You're watching what happened there with the contact. Mucky continues on, but it looks like Estefania's race is over.
Estefania has taken the tow. He definitely got in the way of Conrad. Conrad wearing some damage on the left front. I think you kind of called it, Joe. I think Estefania was just trying to make sure that Mucky was able to get going and not lose a spot to a penalty. But unfortunately, he left himself in a bad spot on the track, and Estefania has been given a black flag, although I think it's a moot point by now. I don't think Estefania is going to finish the race. That was, shall we say, unfortunate.
Yeah, and Mark Mucky has to thank his lucky stars that attrition has played such a role, because even though he lost so much time waiting to get back on the track, there's literally no one to worry about, because Ramon Sayas, the next car down, is out of this race in 24th. And obviously Estefania is being towed. I'm sorry, he's not even being towed. Estefania has exited out, and he is apologizing to everyone that he had gotten in the way of there. We have a minute and just about a minute left to go on the clock, so it is getting down to the end here. And I'm sorry, we got some information I just missed. We're up to 30 seconds left here. Jalvaz continuing to lead the way. Let's see if we have the white flag here. Waiting for the information. We should be given it soon. I think he might be getting it this time by. It's going to be close. We'll have to watch here.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here real quick, Joe. It looks like João Cardoza is going to run away with this race, followed by Tom Valentini, should they both finish without any trouble here. Back there, through all of that drama we had with cars spinning out, traffic's going through, we just got where we're on the white flag. you know, it gave Omar Zanchi a chance to catch back up with Patrick Pickler. Unfortunately, we had an HPD that I think it was the driver that spun earlier is now between the two. So it just seems like Zanchi's running up through quicksand. Every time he gets a chance to get a run on Patrick, someone comes and breaks it up, Joe. And that's just been the story of Zanchi's race today in the last couple seconds of the race.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate to see, and I think he's running out of opportunities. I don't think he's close enough to make anything happen, bar a mistake, because João Vaz is not far behind them. He got the white flag, as you said. It was barely a second over the line. He probably could have slowed down and just taken the checkers that time. So it looks like João Vaz is going to be able to pull this one home unless something incredibly drastic happens. Anton Volodin is half a lap away. Vaz comes through Thunder Valley with only a few corners left to go. Not quite an immaculate race, but definitely well done. He kept it together when others faltered all over the place on this track. Coming through the carousel, one more corner to go as Vaz rolls it up through there, across the line, takes the checkered flag. João Vaz with the win, and round 2 at Mid-Ohio.
And this race is definitely not over. Manuel Sanchez is still trying to chase down Braden Ease for the second spot in C2, but there's only about a half a lap to go for these two guys. So I don't know that this is going to be possible without a big mistake from Braden Ease, because there is no traffic that they will catch, Joe.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Andre Martins is going to take the checkered flag for C2 class as he takes the win and makes good of the one that he lost at Daytona. Meanwhile, João Cardozo is coming to the line, Brian.
Yeah, João Cardozo had a great race today, so congratulations to him for just being able to manage traffic to the best of his ability and make the most out of everyone else's loss of time. Tom Valentini also had a great race today, so we're going to go ahead and congratulate both of those guys for staying out of trouble and doing the right thing all over the track. The story of this race has been how tricky it is to keep your grip and your focus with all these different car classes through here. So these guys definitely showed their veteran colors, and that was a great race nonetheless.
Yes, and cars continue to come across the line as we get the classes to finish here. Let's go through the top 3 in each class, because I'm pretty sure they've all gone. Actually, I'm sorry, we're going to go to break before we read that off. We're going to get the unofficial results to you after that break. We're going to have some commercials, and we'll see you in a second. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio, where we just witnessed round 2 of the EnduroPro series. And with some excellent drives and quite a bit of chaos, João Vaz obviously won overall, but we'll get to the standings in a second. First, we want to give the Drive of the Race award, and that goes to Braden Eves for an excellent drive for a newcomer to the series who finished all the way up at second in class. Incredible stuff. But let's go through the standings and tell you where everyone finished. As mentioned, João Vaz, winner overall and in C1 class. Anton Volodin took second. Mark Mucky claimed the podium spot, the final podium spot in the C1 class, and Iker Estefania finished fourth. Then what do we have starting off the C2 class, Kevin?
Well, our winner of the C2 class was Andre Martin, a little bit of revenge from last round. Second was newcomer Braden Eves. Third was Manuel Sanchez. Fourth, Joao Oliveira. And fifth was Jaden Conright. Brian, the McLarens?
Yeah, today winning the race in the McLaren field was João Cardoza. He had a great run and a big lead, so great job with him. Tom Valentini brings up second place, followed by Patrick Pickler in third, and Omar Zanchi in fourth. Following them is Paulo Martins, Bjorn Eric Fladmark, Mark Sargent, and Derek Waller. Excuse me. And then we have Riley Wyan, Cedric Finzak, Nilton Carvalho, and Mark Hewitt.
And a number of other drivers that finished out of order. Jiri Mojak was 14th overall, as that we had skipped over, unfortunately. And it goes all the way down until 23rd. Kevin O'Keefe, I believe, is our first non-finisher in 23rd. Roman Sayas 24th. Vander Geest in 25th. Ruben Velasco 26th. Andreas Almensberger 27th. Dennis Gris in 28th. Stefan Overgaard 29th. Francisco Esteve Albert in 30th, Mert Utzel 31st, Anthony Kopek 32nd, Jarrett Lawson 33rd, Tim Abbott 34th, Carlos Gracia Foss in 35th, Lars Conrad in 36th, and Lars Conrad rounding out the field in 36th. We have some interviews to do. First off, we have the winner in the C3 class, and that is João Cardozo. I believe Brian is going to talk to him.
Hello, João. Can you hear me today?
Hi, Brian. Hi, guys.
First of all, we want to know, how did you like the car today? How did it feel for you?
It felt oddly perfect. I didn't really like it at Daytona. Strangely, without really changing anything, it just seemed perfect today. Can't really complain about that.
It seems like everything went your way when managing traffic. Was the traffic a problem today for you, or did you just find all the right holes at the right times?
I'm guessing I did. Daytona, which wasn't supposed to be a problem with traffic, I could probably give you a 2-hour race debrief. Here, all I can really say is every single thing went swimmingly. I'm very, very happy.
It was a very exciting race, and you had a huge gap. Is it easy to get complacent when you're so far ahead of the next driver, or do you just stay focused the whole time and let the adrenaline take over at that point?
If it wasn't a multi-class race, it would be difficult not to lose focus. But in a multi-class race, especially in a track like this, where you're constantly coming and going, it's impossible. Even if you want to tune out, you can't.
Well, that was all I have for you today, João. Thanks for coming down and talking to us. It was a great race. We enjoyed watching it. We wish you luck in the series, and we'll be seeing you next week at the same time.
Thanks, guys. See you at Virginia.
Well, we have our C2 winner with us as well, Andre Martins, and Kevin has a few questions for him.
Andre, congratulations on your win today. That must feel very good after what happened at Daytona.
Yeah, definitely. It feels much, much better, I can tell you that.
It seemed like you had a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning. Stefan Overgaard led for several laps, and then you kind of took over.
It was a bit complicated, the start of the race. I don't remember the name of the guy who was in the pole position, but he was a bit completely sideways on the beginning. I think he was fighting for grip on the tires, so it was a bit like just a heads-up race and be careful. You know, the Mid-Ohio, everybody who runs this track knows it's all about survival, especially the initial laps. So I just tucked in behind those two and waited for something to happen, you know, because to overtake here you gotta go Rambo moves, you know, and I don't like that, so I just tried to follow them and to see what happens. And unfortunately for them, the other guy spun, and Stefan got a huge off track on turn 1. I don't know if he got any damage, but I never saw him again.
Yeah, actually, Overguard wound up collecting a McLaren into turn 4, and that pretty much took the end of his race. But you definitely stayed very clean from what we saw out there today.
I wasn't worried about the pace, you know, like the lap times or something like that, because here normally on this track you just gotta drive it and wait, you know, wait. I knew the fuel was correct, so I just planned a nice fast pit, didn't change any tires, so I just wanted to have a clean race, you know, especially after Daytona.
Yeah, well done on the clean race. That definitely gave you some rewards today, which you should definitely feel glad about. And looks like VIR is our next round, and that one also tends to be pretty traffic intensive. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about Virginia? Well, I don't even have the track. Does it say anything?
Well, I guess we should let you go start practicing right now, Andre.
Yeah, everybody tells me that it's a really, really challenging track, and well, I'm looking forward for it. So let's just see what brings, and let's just see how it goes.
All right. Well, best of luck, and congratulations again on your win today.
Yeah, thanks also to you guys. Thanks also to the EnduroPro series, and good luck for the next race, guys.
Thank you, Andre. Joe.
Well, we have one last, or I'm sorry, not one last. We've got two more, actually. Zhao Vaz, the winner overall and in C1 class, is here with us to talk to. Zhao, you had a bit of trouble in the first half of the race with a lot of guys trying to threaten your lead. Did that initial contact that you have early on cause you some damage that was slowing you down?
Actually, I was afraid that it did, but eventually the car was okay to drive, so I guess it did. I knew that Iker was going to get a black flag for that, so I just sat back and waited. And it was very difficult to go around those cars, so I just guess the strategy, the mindset was just be clean, respect everybody's space, be patient, let him have his black flag, and then I'll retake the lead with a more of, safely, you know. So I didn't try to push anything.
You admitted early on in the series that you were not as familiar with multi-class racing. Do you feel like you're starting to get the hang of it now that you've got a win under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, the trick here is just be patient and try to expect the unexpected and be ready to stop the car at any time. So, yeah, I guess these past two races, and this one included, just built a lot in my experience, and I think the next races will be better.
Yeah, and you know, with a win under your belt as well, that kind of gets you kick-started towards possibly a championship run. How do you feel about that? Do you think you've got fair chances against Troy, or do you think he's got you on pace on most tracks?
To race with Troy, I need to be in my A game, and Troy's a very cool guy, and he's got a cool head above his shoulders. And to beat him, like I said, you need to be on your A game. I think it's too early to talk about a championship right now. I just want to think about one race at a time. Still learning this multi-class racing. All this process is not easy. It plays a lot on track. You know, you just can't get on the car and sprint all the way through. You need to be very careful with other cars, and you need to manage the distance with your rivals. And I still have a lot to learn. I think this multi-class racing is going to require the best of me, and I think it's. Just to resume that, it's too early to talk about the championship right now.
Well, congratulations once again, and are we going to see it VIR in 2 weeks?
Yeah, sure, hopefully.
All right. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
We have one more person to talk to, and that is Braden Eves, and I believe I will take him since I found out, actually, Braden, you're an Ohio boy, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's just like an hour away from the track.
Oh, well, excellent. I'm down in Cincinnati myself, so a lot of pride, I'm sure, for you getting a second place at what I assume is a home track. I don't know if you heard earlier, but you won the Drive of the Race award.
Yeah, I heard that. It was a pretty good run. I went from 7th after not getting a very good Q lap, and then I think I was up to 4th after the first lap, and then ended up driving up to 2nd for the second place finish.
Well, with you being new to this series, you're one of the 900 guys. How do you feel about trying to be a regular? Do you intend to try and race a few more races?
Yeah, I'm going to try to race the season because I just got put on Lenovo iRacing team. Thanks to them for getting him on the team. And they told me about the series, and it sounded cool.
Well, well done on your first go out. And are you looking forward to VIR? I mean, how do you fancy that track?
I've driven there a couple times. Never actually a race, but it's kind of crazy because of all the S's and fast corners.
You had some serious contact at one point late in the race. What was going through your mind when that happened, and were you pretty afraid that the car was ruined after you had that huge impact?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure who that was, but I saw he had some contact with an HPD driver when the HPD driver was trying to overtake him in turn 2. And then later on, the HPD driver caught back up. I saw a little bit of retaliation, and my spotter told me, Gresham Wagner, credit to him. And then all of a sudden, he was going through the grass and then spun right onto the track, and I had nowhere to go.
Yeah, Gresha actually gave us information as well, so we definitely have to give him credit for helping both of us out. But thanks for coming to talk to us, and again, well done.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for interviewing me, too.
No problem. Well, guys, it's been pretty much the chaotic race that we anticipated. Brian, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, first of all, I thought that obviously Zhao and Tom both had amazing races. I would have liked to see them race a little more closely, but you know how traffic goes here. It definitely spreads you out. Needless to say, though, I think apart from a few mistakes and a few accidents here and there on the track, it's a very clean race, and I think everyone did a good job managing the tricky track here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and I'm glad we were able to drag you here, Kevin, because you don't seem to be too fond of Ohio.
Oh, well, let's just say as a native Floridian, you know, sometimes the sports rivalries get a little intense. But Mid-Ohio is absolutely one of my favorite tracks to drive, one of my favorite tracks to watch action on, and I'm glad we got to see a Cork River race today.
Myself as well. There's a number of drivers that I would commend for playing an incredibly smart race today. But we also want to give out some thank yous before we go. Obviously, we want to thank one of the sponsors, Daco Designs. Also, the league organizers, Mario Beaudry and Marc-Andre Potvin, for putting all the countless hours into making this happen. Thank you to the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts happen. iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia. Also, thank you to the team. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. A special thank you goes out to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Also, thanks to Casey Lalonde, who provides us with music for the broadcast as well. You can find more of it at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race, as we mentioned in the EPS, is VIR, Virginia International Raceway. That's Saturday, March 1st, and that kicks off at 10:45 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be a heck of a race. Our next broadcast is coming up in a few moments. That's the GreenValleyLake.com MX5 World Tour, and that is at Brands Hatch. That kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern today, so don't miss it. That's a great series. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.